You mentioned one of the signings of the summer, or one of Liverpool's signings this summer, which is Florian Wirtz. And I wanted to talk about him because after the Manchester City game, he became a big talking point. And I think it was Gary Neville who called him one of the issues in the Liverpool team, which I think is a little bit harsh considering there are a lot more problems in the team as well. But like you said, he hasn't been playing well. And I think I saw a stat saying that he completed 21 passes in the game, whereas Mamadashvili completed 24. So the fact that he's getting on the ball so little, the fact that when he is getting on the ball, he's not really impacting games. Do you think that Arne Slot knows how to get the best out of him? Because he's tried him in the middle, he's tried him on the left, he's tried him on the right, and he has even played him very briefly as that false nine, but nothing really seems to be working at the moment.
No, I agree with your assessment that kind of I think it's harsh to say he's the issue in the team. I think there's been so many issues and you know the multiple problems that Liverpool have had to face, and therefore him coming into that environment and a team that is unsettled, that is not a kind of a machine that is functioning at the moment, that's caused him an awful lot of problems. Um, but for me, I think, as much as that's not helpful, I do think his biggest problem is individual at the moment, which is that he is struggling with the intensity of the Premier League. He's not getting that kind of separation when he's dribbling. He's being out muscled consistently. And the fact is he doesn't have to be bigger and stronger, and not every single player in the league has to be. They just have to be better. And so he has to be better. And the fact is, and where I would agree with Gary Neville, we shouldn't be treating him with kind of kid gloves in that he cost 116 million. So you've got to have high expectations around it. But what I think is encouraging is that some of his numbers look okay. I think some of the, he's ranked very highly for shot creating actions. I think he's up there for chances created in the Premier League this season. So he could have a few more assists with a bit more luck, really. Um, but he's also got to play an awful lot better now. We will. It's only right to acknowledge he's only 22. He's younger than RB Elliott, and he is. And what I like is that he took on the challenge of coming to the Premier League because he wants to be better. He wants to be able to deal with this. He wants this challenge. So I don't think he's regretting it or thinking, oh goodness me, it's not working out. I'm going to go into my shell. He's always there. He's always trying. But equally, we need to start seeing a bit more soon. So, hopefully that starts to come as the team performs better. Got a decent run of fixtures coming up soon, which looks encouraging. But you need to start seeing him shine soon. So, he's had a lot of training, a lot of time to adapt to this league. I thought we saw real promising signs against Real Madrid. We have in the Champions League in general. Um, but yeah, there's a bit of pressure on him to start to show that. But there are some signs that he can. So hopefully he does soon. But I don't think anybody should be up in arms about the fact he's being criticised. I mean, if you're going to sign someone 116 million, they've got to produce. And maybe it's taken him a couple of months to adapt, but that maybe has to start turning soon, and we have to start seeing a little bit more from him.
In your mind, does Florian Wirtz have to start? Because if you look at it, 116 million pound signing, you'd think that he has to start every game. But again, he hasn't really been playing well. But in your mind, is this just a case of maybe you just have to play through the pain, you have to play through the inconsistencies, and you just have to hope that eventually something clicks and eventually maybe he starts to finally settle in the Premier League?
Yeah, you probably put yourself in that position when you spend so much money on a player, which is another reason to kind of say, Liverpool haven't done this previously, or not to this extent. In terms of, you look at the Isak, you look at the Wirtz situation, and it's put them in a scenario where they kind of have to play both through. So they had to play Isak into fitness, and then obviously eventually didn't even work out like that. But then they've had to play Wirtz through it as well, and they probably do have to stick through it because if you're paying that amount of money, you need those players to be good because, as I say, Wirtz is making the midfield worse at the moment. He's being funneled out to the left. Isak is making the attack worse than it was last season, and yet you've got to kind of get him there. It's an awful situation to be in, but you need them to, at the very least, you need Isak to be providing Darwin Núñez numbers. At the very least, you need Wirtz to rebalance that midfield and kind of be providing what Dominic Szoboszlai was at the tip, if that's where you want to use him. So um, yeah, they probably do have to push them through this. But of course, the downside of that is that the results will still continue to suffer. And then it's like, well, do you start putting top four at risk and those sorts of things? I mean, it's such a hard one to judge as well, because when does that click come? It will come at some point, I imagine, and I'm hopeful of that fact. But it's like when you watch with McAllister and his fitness issues this season. who saw the performances against Real Madrid and Aston Villa coming, you couldn't predict that that was going to come in that moment because he'd been so poor to that point. So it's very, very hard to judge when it will come, and you have to persist through it. But I think, like I say, I think some of these kind of fixtures will help. And hopefully a chance to really build some rhythm, not just the team as a whole, but also individual players like Wirtz, like maybe Kirk as well, to just kind of find that click and really start to show the best.